So this is going to be a few different things, but a follow-up on my appointment today at the school. So walking with Jesus, sometimes it's actual and sometimes it's metaphorical. And today for me, it was both. So I'm going to do this stuff about the school at the end so that you guys have to listen to the whole video to find out what happened. Sorry, not sorry. Today I just got back from seeing Greg. Then from Greg's I went to see Matt, and I had to walk home, and it's about 7 blocks. And here's the thing, about 30 minutes before I take my meds, my pain gets pretty awful, and things start locking up, shutting down. And that last 30 minutes, I lay in bed. I can't do much. By 30 minutes after a missed dose of my meds, I will instantly start having seizures, things locking up. I can't walk at all, can't use my hands, arms, legs, everything will start to freeze and be horrific pain to the point someone else would have to unbend my arm. And I was at Matt's and I was having such a great time that I completely lost track of time. And then when I stood up to leave, I felt a seizure coming on, and my lower back was locked up, and my hips, couldn't support my weight and everything. And it took me a little bit of time to be able to get out. And it was horrendous. Like, my body was wobbling, and then the vertigo kicks in, and usually I'll start throwing up, but I 100% felt the seizures start to come because I get this weird thrust in my stomach. So I've never ever been able to just stop one once it gets to that point, especially after missed meds and the level of symptoms I was already at from the past 2 days being so busy. So anyway, Matt was like, Ash, are you gonna make it home? And I said, Matt, this is called Walking with Jesus. I blast my music and I say, Jesus, walk with me. And I walk home and I make it every time. So he said, all right. And so he smiled because God's on him, God's on me. Like, we both just have such a peace that passes, natural understanding. And so we both knew Jesus was walking me home. So I got home all the way, and then my meds were upstairs. So doing stairs at this point is 100% impossible to even crawl because everything is unable to do anything stair related. But Jesus escorted me all the way to my room because he's being a gentleman, and I was able to get my meds in me. And so I did a little bit of a video talking about women, ditch the boyfriends. If you're living in sin, get rid of them. And if they make you cry, tell them hit the road. So I told you how I always tried to control picking a partner, and it went very bad for me. And that now I have the peace about Jesus picking and everything. So now Jesus, he doesn't pick just romantic partners. He picks my friends who I spend my time with, who I minister to, who finds me and reaches out to me. Jesus is picking it all, So I guess that's better than the arranged marriage I wanted, because it's a arranged marriage by Jesus when it happens. So super excited for that day. And all right, so back to my friend Matt. So, God picked my friend for me, right? And I know 100% in my heart he chose him as my best friend, and I couldn't be more thankful. And when somebody gets chosen as your best friend, like I said earlier about like I said earlier about Amber's spirit dad, and when she gets a stepdad one day, that they'll be best friends, So my best friend is going to be best friends of my partner, right? If my best friend is made to be a man, and now we know he is. So, like I said, that God would give you someone that understands everything in you, your brokenness, your past, your current situation, your destiny, your struggles, everything, that he will be made for you. So your best friend is made for you. And what's a best friend without complete understanding, right? So, and thank God my other best friend is a boy, because Jen would come after you. She's scary. She's not sharing her best friend with anyone. So I will be very clear. This is my best friend that God made for me as a boy. Jen is the best friend that God made for me as a girl. So, I have two best friends, a girl and a boy now. But I'm just saying, because my boy best friend, is going to be created to be best friends with my husband, right? Because God orchestrates everything. So my meeting with my, new bestie was God ordained, and we met at church, and we share very, very similar health situations. We live walking distance from each other, so I could always get there, and his schedule is the same as my schedule, so we could see each other during the day. And we have the same background in culinary arts and loving gardening and other things, and we both want the exact same lifestyle of having a house that, you know, we have a cow and a goat. I want a fainting goat, but just for fun, but I guess I'll use it for goat milk, and a horse, and like we both just want to live off the land. So we have similar interests, we have similar backgrounds, we have similar stories, we have similar personalities, similar spirits, similar situations, and we have the same degree of love for Jesus, which, you know, your husband or your wife, they're gonna be equally yoked to you. So your best friends are gonna be equally yoked. And my best friend Jen is, and now my best friend Matt is. So that's what Jesus does. Like, there's gonna be a complete unity and just leveling of just, you'll know. They say, you know, when you know, you'll know when you meet your bestie. And so it's just so wonderful that God made that happen. And you guys know how I feel. Hey, you guys know how I feel about my church family and how I love them. So God took it up a notch and made him part of my church family, and put someone that loves my church family as much as I do, and wants to do the Friday night services and all the extra things we do, and gets as excited as I am. Like, we all wake up Sunday and it's like, I get to go see all my favorite people, and there's just this joy and excitement and like love to see all the people that you love and be in the presence of God, and like that atmosphere that just shifts, you know? So the best part of all is him and I have the same level of love of Jesus. So everything we talk about is just fun and exciting and spirit-led, and it's just beautiful, right? So God is also going to give Matt a wife that is going to be my best friend, and I'm going to love and be super like, I'm so glad that this is Matt's wife, right? Just like he's going to do for Matt. So, and just like he's going to do for Jen. So make sure that's happening in your lives. Okay, so enough of that. That was just something that I wanted to get out of the way. So I'm not going to be speaking, doing 2 speaking engagements at the school. My meeting was with the principal, and it was with the social worker of the whole school and the counselor. So after I proposed everything, I knew I can't do it from a stance of religious and what's in any way, so Jesus couldn't come up. So I said the point of view I want to give is that my condition comes from stress, and that comes from being bullied and abused, and literally it does physical damage. And I presented the whole thing that I know a lot of boys in the school that are being bullied by girls. I took out a picture of my son's arm that a girl literally clawed out gashes of his skin. And my son's tan. He doesn't, you know, show marks easy. And I said, I demand that this girl gets suspended, because the last 2 girls that physically assaulted my son, even one put elbowed him in the face as hard as she could, and you guys watched it on camera, which I had to force you to rewind it back. You didn't even catch that, and I had to force that. I said, which I want a copy of that video, by the way, because now I'm starting a paper trail of my son's abuse. I said, I'm banding together with other parents, and we're going to stop the abuse of our sons, and it's going to happen with your help or not, and I'll go to the top of the top and I'll jump through every loop I need to get to, because I will be spearheading the protection of our sons, because this is the type of stuff that puts them into juvie, which leads them into jail, which it ruins their lives. These girls abuse them. I personally know people that are not violent in nature, multiple people that were being so abused by their women, getting clumps of hair ripped out, literal claw marks, stabbed, all this stuff for all this abuse. And the first time they shoved them, they went to jail and did significant amounts of time, like years and years and years, and their lives are ruined. And these are nonviolent men. These are just someone, eventually they pushed the girl off of them, not even, just to hurt them, to get them off them. I know multiple men in this situation. Actually, off the top of my head, it's a lot. It's a sick amount. So I said I'm spearheading defending our boys, and I demanded that they put cameras in the gym. And I said, it is a known fact that the majority of every single fight, every single incident is happening in the gym. Tell me now if you have cameras in the gym, because I know you don't. And they said, we don't. And the principal said, I want to get more cameras. I said, they need to be in the gym immediately. That's another thing I'll be pushing for, because it's nonsense that our sons could be getting abused in the gym because you don't have cameras, which has been where all of my son's incidences have been, the majority of them. So get the cameras. Anywho, all of that, I thought they were going to tell me to screw off, right? You're not speaking anywhere. So they want me to speak at a minimum of 4 places now. And they're putting me in touch with someone that is in charge of at a county level, which is above their level. And what they ended up saying to me is, in those places, you can mention Jesus and you can talk about God with bullying. The school auditorium, you can't. And I knew when the principal was sitting in my living room and the entire atmosphere changed, I knew God was on him, because, where 2 or more gather, God is there. Where 2 or more faith-filled, real faithful people are, God is really there. And I felt God on him the moment I saw him. And I felt God in the room there. So they ended up asking me to do something after school. They said we can't do it during school because of limitations, and they're going into finals hardcore, so it was just a time issue. They said so they're going to set something up after school for me, so that's going to be censored. But they said they also are going to have the leader that does the county stuff be the one-point contact of setting up for me, speaking at Epic Zone, the Boys and Girls Club, and the library, because they know I can't really coordinate stuff, and they know of my cognitive issues. So the one lady's just going to coordinate all the speaking engagements for me. And then they ended it with, and we'll see, what else she could get you set up for, because there's a definite need to talk about bullying. And they were well aware of the sexting, and, I told them all the sexual stuff going on, the abuse of the boys. I told them how my son went on probation for something with a girl who had been abusing him, and it could have literally led him with a record and into juvie. And I shed a light on a ton for them, and they just want me to be an advocate for bullying, and they thought it was great I was doing this. So, you give it up to God. I wanted to do 2. He said, you get 4. So I never, ever, ever thought about this ever in my life. I was thinking about jail ministry, and literally yesterday morning I sat here and it just popped into my head. Speak on bullying at the school. And I was like, all right, God, I guess I'm speaking about bullying at the school. So I literally picked up my phone and I called the school and I said, put me in touch with the principal. I need to talk about bullying at your school. So the principal never got my message or knew I was reaching him, because he was out looking for my son who left school, and ended up at my front door sitting in my living room literally 2 hours later. And I had texted my friend Lex, like, this idea just came to my head that I need to talk about bullying at the school, so please pray about it. So I thanked him for that. And so the idea fell in my head out of the blue. 2 hours later, he was sitting in my living room, and the very next morning at 7:25 a.m., I was being asked to do 4 speaking engagements and seeing what else I could do and given someone to coordinate it all because I wouldn't be able to. So now it's all taken care of. And another great part, I love my church family, and the librarian goes to my church, and she's a wonderful, wonderful, like, godly woman who's so anointed, and I love her very much. So I'm going to ask her to join in on my speaking, and I have some teachers from the school I'm reaching out to directly to invite, and Rihanna's inviting all her friends and Dante his friends, and I see tons of kids, so I'm telling them to invite their friends, and some parents have coming, and so I believe it will be a nice turnout. So it's my very, very first time speaking about anything that randomly God placed in my head this morning. So here we go. So don't try to plan your own ministry or your own paths, because you're not going to do it. God's going to do it, and he's going to tell you what to do, and then you're going to follow. So if you're thinking about what do I do for my ministry, don't stress, because you don't have to know. You don't have to figure it out. There's never going to be guessing. You're never going to say, was it this? Because God's going to boop it into your head, and then he's going to confirm it with complete certainty. There's not going to be any question. I can't be like, God, did you want this? I know 2 hours later you put a principal of the school sitting in my living room, but was this you, God? There's going to be none of that. Just with God, there's no confusion. The devil's a liar, so if you're confused, you're listening to not your thoughts, and you need to just refocus on Jesus and say, what do you want? I surrender. And every time you surrender, he'll show you. So I gotta go. I have a 12 o'clock phone call. Bye.